Well, now we're going to look at the calculator paper for entry level 3, set 3. So question 1, Ahmed works at a computer shop. He works 37 hours a week. He earns £9.80 each hour. How much does Ahmed earn in total for 1 week? All right, so let's look at the key information here. 37 hours a week, £9.80 each hour. And we want the total for 1 week using correct money format. Now, they haven't put that last sentence there accidentally. It's very important. There are 3 marks for this question, and one of those 3 marks is going to be given to you only if you use the correct money format. So they want to see that you can write money properly. So if it's 37 hours a week and it's £9.80 each hour, they want you to do 37 times 980. So this is a calculator question. You don't need to show all the manual workings for this. You simply need to get your calculator out and push on your calculator buttons 37 times 980. And in your working out box here, that is all you have to show. When it says show your working, all you have to show is what the calculation is and what the answer is. So on your calculator screen, it says 362.6. Now, in money terms, £362.6 is going to be £362.60. So that is the answer they want to see, £362.60. They want to see that pound sign and they really want to see the 0 after the 6. Because in English money, when we write pounds and pence, the pence always has 2 figures for how many pennies it is. So we don't write, when we see prices in the UK, we don't see prices of point something pounds. We see the pounds and then how many pence it is between 0 and 99p. So £362.60 is the figure they're looking for there. Then it says round £9.80 to the nearest pound. So when it says to the nearest pound, £9.80 is between £9 and £10. So those are the 2 whole numbers of pounds that £9.80 is between. And obviously £9.80 is a lot closer to £10 than it is to £9. So to the nearest pound, this is going to be £10 is your answer. So the rounding rules here are, as soon as it's halfway or higher, you round up. So anything £9.50 or over, it would round up to £10. If it was £9.49 or lower, it would round down to £9 to the nearest pound. Then it says use the rounded number to check your answer to question 1. Use the rounded number. So the rounded number is the 10 that we've just answered for part B, sorry. So we've got to do a calculation check using the 10, not the 980. So use the rounded number to check your answer to question 1. So in question 1, we had that calculation. So what it wants us to do here in part C is instead of using 980, it wants us to use 10. So here you can either say 37 times 10 is 370, or if you want to do it backwards, you can say 300 and what's the figure we've got here? 362.6 divided by 10 would be 36.26. So you could do that. It's probably a bit easier to do it this way round. Okay. So remember that when you're doing checks, calculation checks that are using estimation, whenever you're using rounding, they're not so bothered about you doing it in reverse. You can do it the same way you did it the first time as long as you are rounding the numbers. Okay? So I would just, on that one, I would just say 37 times 10 is 370. Simple. Okay, then we've got a time question. The clock shows the time. Ahmed opens the shop. So this is testing if you can read analog clock faces. So on this clock face, what have we got? Well, the big hand is the minutes and the little hand is the hours. So because the little hand is before the 9, it shows us that it's not 9 o'clock yet. And the big hand is pointing at the 8. So if we're starting at the 12, every number after 12 is going up in 5 minutes. So this is 5 past the hour. This is 10 minutes past the hour. 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes past the hour, of course, is half past. 35 minutes past the hour. So when it's pointing at the 8, that is 40 minutes past the hour. And because that little hand is past the 8 and it hasn't reached the 9 yet, it means the time on the clock is 8:40 because it's 40 minutes past the 8th hour. So we're looking for an option in this question that is the same as 8:40. And 8:40 is the same as 20 to 9. And the reason it's the same as 20 to 9 is because we've got 5, 10, 15, 20. So we've got 20 minutes there, look, to the next hour. So if we go from that 8, we've got 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes to go until the next hour. So when those 20 minutes pass, the little hand would then be on the 9 because then it would be 9 o'clock. Okay, so on this question, the option we're looking for is the time on the clock says 20 to 9. So we've got to tick that one. Question 4. Ahmed asks customers what they think about the service at his shop. Each customer gives a rating from 1 to 5. These are the results. All right, so every number in this table is a rating that a customer has given between 1 and 5, is what those two sentences are telling us. Complete the frequency table to show what the customers think. Okay, so when we look at this frequency table down here, It says frequency 1 for customer rating 1. So what that means is when we look at this table, there was only one customer that gave a rating of 1 out of 5. So that's why the frequency for a rating of 1 is 1, because you can only see the number 1 once. The frequency for a rating of 2 is 3, and that's because we can see the rating of 2 has been given 3 times by customers. A rating of 3 was given 6 times, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And a rating of 4 was given 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so what they want you to do is look at the table above and say how many times did a customer give a rating of 5 out of 5? Well, we can see that a rating of 5 was given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. So we need to put 9 in this box here. Question 5. Ahmed designs a newspaper advert for the shop. The width of the advert must be less than 110 millimeters. The diagram shows the width of the advert Ahmed wants to use. Now you see on this diagram there's no measurements on there, so what this means is we are looking at an accurately drawn diagram. So what you would need to do in the exam, if there's no measurements on the diagram, it means you need to get your ruler out and measure the width of this line in centimeters, or millimeters, of course. So when you measure that line, you must then compare it to the 110 millimeters we can see in the question. So for example, if you measured that line, let's say you measured it and that line was 9 centimeters, then you'd say to yourself, okay, well, 9 centimeters, if every centimeter is 10 millimeters, which is something you must know at entry level 3, then 9 centimeters is going to be 9 times 10, which is 90 millimeters. And if 90 is less than 110, then that would be okay. So then you could say yes. The advert must be less than 110. 90 is less than 110. So then you could say yes. If you measured that line and it was something greater than 110, then you would have to say no. He cannot use. Okay, so the answer is yes. So down here where it says tick the correct answer, you must make sure you tick where it says yes in that bracket there. If you don't tick there where it says yes, you will lose a mark. Okay, so that was question 5. We will look at question 6 in the part 2 video.